Welcome to the Parsha Perspective. Each week, we will delve deep in a weekly Torah portion to find a practical and insightful way to enhance your daily life. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Shelamim. Each week, we will look into the weekly Torah portion to find inspiration that will complement your daily life and intensify your connection to God. This week's Parsha Perspective is sponsored in memory of Shlomo ben Edward. May his soul be uplifted and his memory a blessing. This week's Torah portion is Parshas Vayikra. Our Parsha begins the third book of the Torah, Sefer Vayikra. The book of Vayikra, also called Torah's Kohanim, primarily speaks about the work that Kohanim and Leviim would do in the Mishkan or Beis Hamikdash. The Parsha starts off with the first time that Hashem speaks to Moshe Rabbienu from within the Mishkan. He relates to Moshe the various types of sacrifices that can be brought on the Mizbe'ach, the altar, the Olah, an elective sacrifice that was burnt entirely and solely for God, the Chatas, an offering that will atone for all sins that were done unintentionally, the Shelamim, a voluntary sacrifice that was brought to thank God and eaten by the donor, Kohanim and Leviim. However, a question comes to mind. The first pasuk of this week's Parsha is Vayikra el Moshe, Vayidaber Hashem elav ma'oil moed lemor. And Hashem called to Moshe and spoke to him from the tent of meeting, the Mishkan. However, the way this pasuk is written in Torah is that the last letter of the word Vayikra, the Alef, is written in very small form. Why is the Alef in Vayikra written small and different from the rest of the letters? The Rosh on this pasuk explains that the reason the letter Alef is written very small is that the letter Alef is also the first letter of the Hebrew word for I, ani. As Moshe is considered to be the most humble person in our history, he is honored with the small Alef. For Moshe remained modest despite all the honor and prestige that came along with leading the Jewish people out of Egypt. The little Alef represents Moshe's humility and character as an individual, but more importantly, as a servant of God and a leader of the Jewish people. However, the Kli Yakar takes this a step further. He writes that if you remove the letter Alef from the word Vayikra, then the word becomes Vayikar, and he chanced upon. The Kli Yakar explains that when the pasuk writes Vayikra, and he called out, it represents a term of endearment and love towards the person being spoken to. However, the word Vayikar has no such connotations, and in fact, it signifies the opposite. For Vayikar and he chanced upon implies that the person speaking did not want to do so, but rather happened to do so. And we see this phrase being used when Hashem spoke to Bilam, the non-Jewish prophet, as he was trying to curse the Jewish people. As the pasuk says in Bamidbar, Vayikar Hashem el Bilam, and Hashem chanced upon Bilam. And the Ramban there explains that God was speaking to Bilam through the attributes of justice and strength, not kindness. The Kli Yakar continues that since Moshe was a very humble person, he wanted to write that a God only appeared to him by chance. However, God told him to write the word Vayikra with an Alef to show the world his love and affection towards Moshe. However, due to Moshe's extreme humility, he wrote the word with a small Alef, and therefore the Alef of Vayikra on every Torah is written small in his merit. In our daily life, we look at the way that Hashem affectionately spoke to Moshe Rabbienu as opposed to Bilam, and realize that it has practical and insightful meaning in our unprecedented times. For we could tell ourselves that Vayikar, and he chanced upon us, that our situation has been thrust upon us for no apparent reason. Conversely, we can view our circumstances through the lens of Vayikra, and he called out to us, that this is an extreme wake-up call from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to arouse us from our gullus slumber, telling us to work on strengthening our connection to him. There's an amazing quote that I once heard. When you cannot control what is happening, challenge yourself to control the way you respond, for there lies true power. May Hashem continue to give us all much health during this unprecedented time and heal those affected. Have a great weekend and a meaningful Shabbos. Thank you for tuning in to the Parsha Perspective. Check out our website, theparshaperspective.com. Send thoughts and comments to theparshaperspective@gmail.com. Till next time, thanks for listening.